Morning. It's cold, and we're starting the morning out very expensively. I'm getting new tires on my truck. Michael's getting new tires on his truck. So that's 8 new tires. And then I had a wheel bearing go out on the reel disc the other day. And, well, a tire fell off and the chopping reel got the tire. So get to buy that tire too. So we're starting the morning out with 9 tires. So what do you think about that, Gavin Spoor? Morning. We're gonna get an early start, do some ripping. It's Saturday morning, I think. Yeah, Saturday. I forget what day it is sometimes. Saturday morning, and I'm gonna grab something to eat from the shop here. Put some fuel in the tractor and get with it. And we're off. And the GPS is doing some interesting things. It's not holding an AB line, obviously. That's alright, we're doing it the old school way, so we're ripping away back there, getting after it. It is a beautiful morning for it. Getting about, I'd say we're getting close to half done in this field, so life's good. Had to jump out and grab that thumbnail picture for you guys for this video, but I don't know if you can tell it or not, but ground is heaved up about, I'd say, a good 6 inches where I ripped versus where I didn't. You see right here these cracks, and these cracks go all the way across from shank to shank, so we're lifting the dirt completely across. The shanks are 30 inches apart, so you want to see it lifted there in the middle too and shatter and everything, but yeah, just thought I'd get out and check how we're doing, and I don't know, never hurts to give it a good walk around every now and then, so that's what I'm doing. But big old girl, really big tractor for what looks like a small tool behind it, but believe me, it pulls plenty hard. And we're sinking it deep. We're sinking it to the top of the shanks, as you can see. But like I said, you're wanting to crack the dirt all the way in between the shanks there like that. But I've got it set deep. We're going really deep. Well, I got bored of ripping. I did about 80 acres this morning. So Michael's gonna take that job over, and I'm gonna hop on the bush hog and clean up some field edges. It's evening now, but we're gonna jump in the stagger here and do some inline ripping. I spent the better part of the morning in my office. Oh goodness, this is a 2-hand job. This door handle sometimes is tight. But anyhow, like I was saying, spent the majority of the morning in the office, paying bills and doing that kind of fun stuff. And then I looked outside and realized that it had dried up quite a bit. So I decided that it was time to finally go do some field work, or just any excuse to get me out of the office. So I spent the better part of the afternoon bush hogging around field edges. I like to do that at the end of the year. I like to go around every single field with a bush hog, just to clean up the edges and mow any saplings down that are starting, and just overall make things look nice, basically. Come on, grind them till you find them. Maybe. Come on. There we go. Every now and then, before this transmission is warmed up, it's difficult to get in gear, but after it runs for 5-10 minutes, it's absolutely fine. So I don't know. But anyhow, gonna throw some fuel in this hog and Put some fuel in it. I got some cylinder stops for it. Anyhow, we're gonna throw some fuel in this pig and throw some cylinder stops in, clean the windows, and probably run pretty late tonight because there's a chance of rain all day tomorrow, and it finally dried up enough that I can rip something. So I'd like to get 60-70 acres done, and then tomorrow it can rain. Well, we've got the first 10 acres or so done. For some reason my auto steer, the globe, quit working, so I've got another one ordered, but it's not here yet. So we're doing it with auto steer tonight, and it's where you auto steer left and you auto steer right instead of it steering itself. But that's all right. It's just tillage. We can make do. It's still fairly straight for hand steering it. I grew up with tractors that never had auto steer, so I did learn how to drive halfway straight just doing this. So it's not perfect, but it's better than not doing anything at all. We're still getting something done. I did shallow up the ripper just a little bit. This ground is a little bit rolling over here, so I didn't want to go super deep. But I am hitting some really hard spots where there's a few springs in this field that are actually dried up right now, but where it seems like every year I end up here, like 80% of this farm is dry, and then like 10% of it's not, and 10% of it's just on the fence. And so there's definitely some spots where I've committed some sins, and well, we're fixing them with the inline ripper right now. So got all the bush hogging done, mowed these ditches down, a lot of cattails, grass, weeds, trees. I didn't take out any massive trees by any means, but I would like to actually run a tile down this ditch and just farm this as one field, which is probably what I'll end up doing, honestly. But this is a rental farm. I've got a pretty long-term lease on. I think I've got it another 8 or 9 years, I think, something like that. So it's definitely one of the farms that is on my list to make a lot of improvements to, just because I know I've got it for a long time. It's about like ground that I own. So the longer the lease I have on a piece of ground, the more open to improvements I'm willing to make. If I'm leasing a farm on like a 3-year lease or a year-to-year lease, I'm a lot less apt to tile it or anything like that, because I get burnt on it really quick. Now, if the landlord's paying for the tile, it'd be one thing, but I don't know. It's just not something that I don't ever want to rent ground on a short-term lease, I guess is what I'm saying. It's too risky. I treat all my ground like it's my own. I fertilize it, I take care of it, mow it, do drainage projects, whatever, as if I owned it. So, you know, I'm not going to rent ground and pay for somebody else's fertilizer for the next year, basically, when I put on extra, you know, for my own crop or something, and then it gets rented out to somebody else. So, yeah, anymore I really just don't rent anything unless it's a long-term lease, with the exception of the state ground. And honestly, the state ground this year made like 100 bushel corn, so if I keep it, I keep it. If I don't, I don't. Oh well, either way. I put in another bid for it this year. I don't know if I have it yet or not, but I don't know. It's just not phenomenal ground, so I didn't bid a lot. And if somebody else wants to pay more, so be it, because I feel like even what I bid was really too high for what it is. But I don't know, I feel like if I would have bid a whole lot more, I would have just been breaking even or losing money at it. So I'm not in this business to farm ground just to say I farm more acreage. I'm in this business to farm ground to make money. So anyhow, that's my little rant. But we're ripping away, getting into some short rows. I'm ripping this at a slight angle, so getting into some short rows here. But go around the outside of the field 4 times and jump over there and start on that. It was going really good, but I'm pretty sure I just turned my 7 shank ripper into a 6 shank ripper. Broke some shear bolts. So there's these 2 bolts up here that hold that shank in, and then you got a shear bolt down here. Well, I broke them. So, well, I guess that bolt doesn't do anything. It's just this bolt and that bolt. But as you can see, there's no shank. So, I don't know what we hit. But there she be. Not a big deal, I've got bolts, so. Pick it up, line it up, shove a bolt in it, tighten it, call it good. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't quite have the guts to yank this thing up out of the ground. I don't know what it was stuck in, but it was stuck in there good. So I cheated a little bit and I backed up and I hooked it with another ripper shank, got up under it and then lifted the ripper up, and that pried it out of there. I don't know what it hit, but it's still in one piece. They are extremely heavy though. This isn't gonna be real fun to line back up. Wife came and saved the day. She brought me bolts, so we're fixed. Ready to run again. Well, it's about midnight 30 now, and we're still chugging along at it. 5 mile an hour, 20 foot at a time. It's not setting any speed records, but we're getting after it. And occasionally we hit a spot where we drop down to 4.5 mile an hour or less. Getting some real hard dirt. This is a creek bottom here, and you can definitely tell right where the line is, where the water gets over it and where it doesn't, because you get to where the water got over it this year and it is packed like concrete because it had 20 foot of water over it for like 4 days. And water weighs a lot, so yeah. Anyhow, we're gripping and ripping. Well, it's 4 a.m. now. Got about 80 acres ripped. And I got a flat tire, so it's a good time to call it quits. I'm tired. It's the second time this has happened this year, but what happens is the rim gets bent and it pops the bead on the tire. I think I'm bending the rims because there's so much down pressure on these tires. This ripper wants to go down the way it's set. And I've got these stops in here, but basically all that's keeping the ripper from going down deeper is the tires. And there's times you get in hard ground where there's just so much pressure on those tires that I think it's actually bending the rims. I really don't know what, I mean, I don't know really what a guy could do there to make that not happen, but I don't know. That's a problem for another day. So letting the Steiger kind of cool off a little bit, I kind of got out and cleaned the bush hog up a little bit. Looks like we got some driftwood stuck in here. That's not surprising down here. Try and wiggle this out and shut this tractor off and go home. And honestly, flat tire or not, there's a lot of lightning starting to happen to the west, so that storm is right on top of us, and I don't know that I would have been ripping for much more than another hour, whether I got a flat tire or not. So it's time to go home. It's time to get some sleep and hope that nobody's noisy in the morning, because I'm gonna want to sleep till noon. I doubt I do. I'd say I sleep 3 or 4 hours, but something's better than nothing. Anyhow, that's probably it for this video. I'm gonna get a shower and go to bed. Judging by the amount of wind we have right now, we're due for a pretty good storm tonight. Can you guys hear that? It is extremely windy. I almost want to stay up just to see this storm roll in, but then again, I don't at all. Yep, got me again.